Democracy will never be defeated.
In the years leading up to the Great War, relations between US and China deteriorated at a worrying pace. In response to this, the US strengthened their military presence in Alaska to prevent a possible invasion across the Bering Strait. Due to the increasing scarcity of fossil fuel reserves across the entire world, many nations, including those mentioned, attempted to locate and claim the few remaining reserves that were left. For example, China discovered a large deep-sea oil deposit in the Pacific Ocean, although their prize was short-lived after the deposit was allegedly sabotaged by American Special Forces. Following this, the already tense relationship between the two countries spiraled into full-blown conflict, when, during the winter of 2066, China launched a massive attack, officially starting the Sino-American War. Under the command of General Jingwei, the People's Liberation Army took control of Alaska's oil pipelines and reserves, while simultaneously sending sleeper agents and stealth armored soldiers across the country, crippling defenses from within and sowing discord among the American people. In response to the Chinese occupation of Anchorage, the United States Army got to work on taking it back, but progress was slow and resources continued to decline. As such, RobCo Industries and General Atomics International were commissioned by the US Army to design and create the most powerful combat robot the world had ever seen, a robot called Liberty Prime. Development commenced in 2072, and in the words of General Chase, the creator of the project, Liberty Prime would be the very embodiment of the American military might. A walking, talking, nuke-tossing hero who would remind the world what it meant to be a superpower. While the chassis, voice module, and weapon systems were all completed by the projected date, the developers were unable to develop a power source that was small enough yet strong enough to run all of the machine's systems at the same time. Neither RobCo or General Atomics could find a solution. Desperate to complete the machine, they reached out to other American companies, although they too were unable to help, and there was only one person talented enough to resolve the issue: Stanislaus Braun. Dr. Braun was a talented scientist, yet Braun didn't want to help. He didn't care if humanity blew itself apart. There was only one thing he truly wanted: his own vault, full of people he could trap inside a simulation and torture to his heart's content. Thanks to his standing in Vault-Tec, Braun was granted his request. The vault was built, the residents selected, and he retreated into Vault 112 early, eager to play with his new toys, meaning the US Army couldn't finish Liberty Prime. In the end, the Alaskan campaign was won after 10 years of grueling combat, while Liberty Prime remained in a bay beneath the Pentagon, patiently waiting for a solution to its power management problems. And that's where the robot stayed, blissfully unaware of the Great War, undisturbed for almost 200 years. Until Owen Lyons and his Brotherhood of Steel expedition discovered it beneath the ruins of the Old World. After which the development of the failed pre-war project, at long last, resumed. However, the scribes led by Rothschild encountered the same issues as those before them: the energy consumption, and for 20 aggravating years, the Brotherhood struggled to launch Liberty Prime. Even though the research team was able to restore a nominal amount of power, the robot was still unable to walk and use weapons at the same time. The moment it tried, the aggressive combat subroutines refused to give up its power to the other systems. Scribe Rothschild did try to bypass these combat routines by deceiving Liberty Prime with a neural dampener, tricking the weapon systems into giving up power, which was a mistake. because the onboard AI detected this interference and did everything it could to prevent it from happening, damaging Prime's internal circuits and causing another setback. Tired of struggling with rerouting power, Rothschild ended the power management experiments and instead decided to focus on giving Liberty Prime all the power it needed to function, which was no easy feat. A machine this size, with such powerful weapons, needed something special, an accelerated vector fusion module. Inspired by the work of Dr. Madison Lee, who had presumably done something similar to either power Rivet City itself or the Jefferson Memorial, Rothschild decided he would use that technology. But to his dismay, upon using an AVF module, something went wrong. Several scribes received second-degree burns, reducing his workforce and setting him back yet again, while an accidental weapon discharge nearly killed their elder. Lyons was quite upset with the results and reduced the level of freedom the scribes had to experiment. Nevertheless, experiments continued, and after a few more attempts, the accelerated vector fusion module worked, allowing Rothschild's team to restore power to all of the systems at the same time, although this wasn't the end of their troubles. You see, Liberty Prime now had enough power to barely function, operating at 3% efficiency, and this made deployment impossible. Admittedly, Rothschild was close to launching Liberty Prime, and if given more time, I believe he would have succeeded. But time wasn't in his favor, because shortly after Liberty Prime was activated, running at 3% efficiency, the Enclave surfaced and took control of Project Purity. And this led to Madison Lee, with the aid of the Lone Wanderer, seeking refuge at the Citadel. And in the efforts of preventing the Enclave from gaining any more ground, Dr. Lee used her experience in fusion research and applications to help Rothschild increase Liberty Prime's efficiency to an acceptable level. So finally, 200 years after the Sino-American War had ended, Liberty Prime was ready to serve. The victory at the Purifier set the standards for deploying Liberty Prime. The War Machine went first, destroying the bulk of the enemy forces and bypassing their fortifications, while ground troops followed the robot, mopping up any remaining enemies. And they were so efficient at doing this that after just 2 weeks the Enclave's presence in DC was almost nil, mostly due to the annihilation of Raven Rock and the loss of their president, John Henry Eden. Sources say Liberty Prime was the one to deliver the fatal blow, while others believe it was the Lone Wanderer. Even so, everything was going according to plan. That was until the Battle of Rockland. Their scattered forces were somehow still communicating and coordinating attacks. Eventually, Rothschild discovered sources of their broadcasts hailing from a facility in Rockland. Needless to say, the Brotherhood prepared to engage, but that was their biggest mistake. The initial attack, led by Paladin Tristan, went well. The combat group penetrated enemy defenses, and Liberty Prime created an access point into the relay station after punching through the concrete wall. However, this was all part of the Enclave's plan to remove Liberty Prime from the equation. They had intentionally allowed themselves to be discovered, knowing full well the Brotherhood would use Liberty Prime to spearhead their attack. And once the target was in position, the Enclave initiated their own secret weapon, a tactical missile bombardment from the Bradley Hercules orbital weapons platform. An attack Liberty Prime simply could not endure.
Traffic. System failure. Initiating core shutdown as per emergency initiative 26822009. I die so that democracy may live.
After the fall of Adams Air Force Base, the Enclave were finally a minor threat. However, Liberty Prime wasn't rebuilt. Rothschild started the painstaking process of putting it back together, but with the influx of Enclave technology, he was put to work reverse engineering projects instead, and Liberty Prime was left to collect dust for the second time. It would be another 10 years, the loss of 2 elders, and the integration of the Brotherhood outcasts before work continued on Liberty Prime. Although this time it wasn't Rothschild undertaking the daunting task, rather Proctor Ingram. It was around this time in 2287 when Elder Maxson came to realize that the Institute could be tracked down and confronted in the Commonwealth. And remembering just how powerful Prime was during the battle for Project Purity, Arthur knew Prime needed to be rebuilt, so its salvaged parts were loaded onto the Prydwen and taken to the Commonwealth. After arriving in Boston, flying to the airport, and clearing the area of hostiles, a special gantry was constructed so in order to reassemble the war machine, though it was still missing some crucial elements, pieces that were destroyed or damaged at Rockland. The missile strike that ended Prime's 2 weeks of service wrecked its power system, its CPU had been damaged, its limbs needed rebuilding, it needed a new supply of nuclear bombs to throw, and above all else, its fusion reactor needed reactivating. Long story short, the last time we saw Liberty Prime, it was in a sorry state, and as of right now, we don't know if Proctor Ingram ever managed to fully repair the robot. The ending of Fallout 4 most likely has the Brotherhood surviving, although we don't know how involved they were during the events, or if their assault against the Institute was done using Liberty Prime. But that doesn't mean we've seen the last of the pre-war giant. It may make an appearance in a future title or season of the show. Though, if this is the end, it doesn't really matter, because Liberty Prime served its purpose. It aided soldiers in battle, defended the good people of America from aggressive forces, and helped secure a valuable resource in a resource-scarce world. Suffice to say, Liberty Prime played a pivotal role in making the wasteland a better place. Even though it was only active for 2 weeks, the level of progress it achieved is admirable, and its efforts will be remembered for years to come. Be sure to show your support by liking the video and subscribing if you haven't already for more Fallout content. If there's anything you'd like to see in a later video, leave a comment and I'll see what I can do. With that said, thank you, as always, for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.